Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstrow of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the latest and greatest updates here in the city of Oshkosh, as well as a preview of the upcoming City Council meeting agenda. I'm your host, Emily Springstrow, joined as always by your City Manager, Mark Roloff. So, Mark, welcome and thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here, Emily.
So, Mark, we're going to go ahead and dive into the hot topics for the first half of today's show. We're going to take a little break, and then we'll return with a review of the City Council meeting agenda for Wednesday, November 9th, 2016. Council's on a Wednesday this year because we've got an election coming up.
Election day,
Yes.
and the day after we will have our council meeting.
Definitely. So first half of the show, hot topics. First thing we want to talk about is pretty hot topic, I would say, is Buckstaff. And it's been a little while since we've talked about it here on CMR, but we've got a little bit of an update. People are starting to notice some progress being made over there.
Yeah, you're seeing the visible progress now. We are on schedule still to get it done by the end of the year, but I have to remind people, I say we, but this is still not owned by the city. This is part of that settlement that we reached, so there's a contractor that was hired by the owners to get it down, but this is pretty fresh video, and you can see as you're looking from the south and from the north, you can see that progress is being made on the back side of the building. You don't see the progress visibly right on South Main Street, although the windows are out, so you see that progress, but there's a lot of stuff gone now.
A big question that a lot of people would ask is, what's taking so long? Because they were doing the asbestos, and now it just kind of seems to be slowly trudging along here.
The asbestos is removed, and that was a meticulous part because you have to be very careful. The contractor, to my understanding, has what are called salvage rights. So I know a lot of people called and said, can I get this out of there? Can I get that out of there? Well, we had no say on that, and even the owner basically turned that over to the contractor to have that discretion. So I'm sure what's happening is the contractor is deconstructing it rather than demolishing it, so that if there are any timbers or things like that of that nature, that he can sell that off. And I'm sure that's what's taking so long. But you know, the progress that we're seeing is in line with getting it done by the end of the year. So I remain optimistic that we're going to get it all taken care of by the end of the year.
Wonderful. It'll be a great Christmas present.
Oh, it sure will. I'll appreciate it.
Yes. Any other updates with Buckstaff? I know there's an item on the agenda dealing with it, but we can get to that in the second half.
Yeah, we're just getting ready to move on to the next step when we do own it. We're imminently going to own it. That's not the question. It's just a matter of when the title will actually change hands.
Wonderful. Well, thanks, Mark. Something else that's been a very hot topic here in Oshkosh, a lot of people talking about it, is the rental inspections. Now, this is a new program that has been approved by council, and we got the chance to talk to some people from the planning department and community development department to give us a little bit of an overview of what this program is all about. So we're going to go ahead and roll that, and then we'll discuss it afterwards. Let's take a look.
We've designed our plan to comply with that state law so that it's a 5-year cycle, it's community-wide, and it's a uniform system of inspections.
There's about 16,000 units in the city, and we can't do them with the staff that we anticipate hiring in 1 year. So we've broken that down into 5 sections of the city. First part will be the campus area. The second part will be the downtown area. The third part will be kind of south of the river. 4th year will be north half of the city, and the 5th year will be out on the west part of the city.
We'd encourage all those landlords to go to the website and register all those units. There's no fee for that, and it is required to register all those units. And if people do not have access to a computer, we'll have hard copy registration they can pick up here at City Hall. And when you look at the fee for the inspection of $145 for 1 unit, if it's spread out over 5 years, so that's about $2.42 per month. So I don't think that's a very big impact on what the cost is of the program on any particular unit.
Tenants should schedule an inspection just because they may think everything in their apartment is correct, and by us coming through, we may be able to identify items that they weren't even aware of were a violation, such as health and safety type violations that we'd be looking for. smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, make sure that the chimneys appear that they're not holes in them, that they're properly exhausting gases from water heaters and furnaces, broken windows, broken doors, making sure there aren't any bare wires, making sure there aren't any improper plumbing connections that possibly the tenant isn't even aware of is wrong.
Everybody deserves to live in safe and healthy housing.
If at any time you feel unsafe in your apartment, or you think you've got questions, or you think you might have violations, give us a call and we'll come check those out.
So a really nice little overview of what exactly the rental inspection and registry is. Mark, any comments about this? I know there's been some discussion of the violation of some amendment rights going on too, and I think we wanted to ask you about that today.
Any time that you have somebody claim that there's some constitutional rights violated, I think it's inherent in all of us as Americans to say, wait a minute, you can't violate constitutional rights, and we're very sensitive to that. And I am personally as well. I very much respect constitutional rights, and the claim about the Fourth Amendment, I think, is really mistaken. Fourth Amendment says you can't have an illegal search or seizure without a proper warrant. We are asking people to volunteer to let us inspect their property for their health and safety. If they choose us not to inspect the property, we won't do it. It's that simple.
It's their choice.
It's their choice. If we felt that there was some imminent health and safety issue, then we might have to go get a warrant. But a warrant is required under the Fourth Amendment of our Constitution, and that's what we're respecting. So I understand that there are people who are against it. And a lot of them are against it because of the cost of the program. That is a cost that goes on to the landlord, and they may choose to pass it on. If they choose to pass it on, it's a little over $2 a month. So if somebody talks about, oh, it's going to be this outrageous price, it's nothing of the sort. And if you take a look at the facts, I think you'll see that. I respectfully, I'll let people disagree with that if they don't want to pay, if they feel that the cost is inappropriate. That's their opinion. They're entitled to it. And also that they don't think that we should be inspecting at all. But you see those videos, you see those pictures, and those are serious health and safety concerns that we have. And a lot of students and a lot of parents of those students, as well as other people who don't have experiences with owning property, think that we've already been inspecting these for years, and that's not the case. The idea is for us to get our arms around this and make sure that we can tell people, yes, we've inspected this property. It has that assurance that we've done a good job of inspecting it, so you have a little more peace of mind that your health and safety concerns are there. And we have a specific list on the city's website of the things we're going to look for in terms of homes being searched. Nothing of the sort. No. We're looking for all those things you saw on the screen. Health and safety things. When was the last time you looked at your hot water heater? When was the last time I looked at mine? We have to look at those things as property owners, but if you're a renter, you may not look at that because you're expecting that somebody else has already done that. This will make sure that that assurance will be there. So it comes down to a safety issue is the most important part. And I think the renters will be receiving notices about the ability to register for an inspection, and that's no cost to them. But I think it's mandatory that the landlords are registering their properties. Yes, all the landlords have to register, as Alan Davis had pointed out. So people will register, and then we'll have we'll know who we have to go inspect, and then we'll go through that cycle. And we're going to concentrate on the university area at first, and work our way around town. But it really is about health and safety, and I respect people's rights to disagree, but the misinformation out there I just think isn't fair to the residents, particularly the renters that are taking that safety. They think it's there, and we want to ensure that they have healthy and safe housing. Yes, and if you are a renter and you realize that your property is not on the map within the next year or two and you'd like to be inspected, you can give the inspections department a call at 236-5054, and they can come out and take a look at things for you before your time is up for this program. All right, so Mark, next thing that we wanted to talk about is a couple of updates and reminders for our citizens here. First one being the leaf collection ends in 2 weeks. They are out in full force getting those leaves, and you can definitely see them on the ground already. Yeah, we're out there, and we're collecting the day after garbage day. This is just some file footage that we have. It does technically end on November 18th, and the reason we have that early date as our official date is because we have to be ready for anything that might snow because we have to retrofit a lot of our vehicles. So if you see a leaf truck out there, that means it's not ready to do any snow plowing. So we have to be able to change gears pretty quickly. So it'll end the 18th. If there's any extension, we'll let you know. But that's the official date we have right now. And of course, we want to make sure everybody knows that it's the day after your garbage day. Please don't rake your leaves into the street. That's a safety thing. We'll get them off of your terrace. Don't worry about it. Our big elephant nose truck can suck all those leaves up. You won't have any problem. And then, of course, we do brush collection. If you don't get your leaves out by the last day, we're still going to do one the first week of December, first full week. And there are all the requirements or the guidelines for the brush. And you can also get your things in biodegradable bags as well.
And all that information's on the city website and more. So just check out the Public Works Department's webpage on the city's website, and it's got some great detail. Give them a call if you have any questions. They're great about that too. And then one other reminder that we want to give people today, Mark, is a reminder to vote. The early absentee voting is at the convention center. If you're watching this on Thursday or Friday, you still got one more day to get out to the convention center. November 4th, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. They're staying open a half hour later. Bring a photo ID, and that's your last chance to do early voting. Of course, we encourage everybody to get out there on Election Day and vote as well.
Sure, there'll be a calm before the storm. There's no early voting on Monday, so please be aware of that, Monday, November 7th. But November 8th, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., get out there. And if you need to find your polling place, just check out the website. It's probably the same place you've been voting at, but if you're unsure, just double check and we'll get there. And again, like you mentioned, the photo ID is very important. That's state law now. So have your photo ID ready. And our friendly election workers will be happy to get you in and out of there as quickly as possible.
Yes, and we're always happy to hear some good news after the election of how well all the machines worked and how well the clerk's department does. And we're so appreciative of all of our election poll workers too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so that just about does it for our first half of the show with our hot topics. It's now that time of the show where our viewers have the chance to ask our city manager anything they want about different things that are happening in the city regarding projects or updates, and it's time for Question Mark. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the Question Mark question is this week. So Mark, we got a question this week about right across the street from City Hall, and that's what's all the construction at the Winnebago County Courthouse?
Well, that's a county function, but we do know a little bit about it because there's an indirect impact on us. But the county courthouse is going through some renovations to renovate all the courtrooms at the courthouse and then accommodate the move of one of the branches of the court as well as the court commissioner's office over from our safety building over there. They're going to be putting in some new security, and as they're adding that space, they've moved some folks out of the courthouse over to their offices at the old Oshkosh Bagash offices over on Wagoo. So this is some renderings that we were able to acquire from the county about what it's going to look like. But what that's going to mean is when all the court districts will be consolidated right there at the courthouse, and then there'll be some vacant spaces over at the public safety building because the county currently rents from us, and they'll no longer do that. And it'll probably be the end of 2017 before everybody moves. It's going to take a while for all this to get done. You know, they got to be very careful. That's a beautiful 1930s Depression era building, and they want to maintain that character because it's so beautiful, and I think that's wonderful because it does add a lot to the character of downtown Oshkosh.
Definitely. So there's a little link to the city in the fact that there was a court office held at the PD department, and any plans for that vacant space?
There's no specific plans. You know, when we were talking a few weeks ago about the possibility of municipal court, that was a location that was identified. We're going to just kind of assess the condition of it before we do anything, but we do have some expanding needs, and it's really about what's most compatible with the police department over there, and we want to make sure that all meshes well together.
Wonderful. Well, great question this week. Thank you to that person that sent our question in this week. If you'd like to send a question to Mark Roloff for Question Mark, you can send it to us on Twitter at City of Oshkosh, post it on the Oshkosh Media Facebook wall, or email it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. We're going to take a a quick break, and when we return, we'll dive into the City Council meeting agenda for this Wednesday, November 9th. We'll be right back on CMR.
I'm going to bring it.
Bring it.
Raila.
Bring it.
We are going to bring it.
Bring it.
This election.
This election,
This election, I'm going to bring it.
I'm going to bring it.
Bring it.
Bring it to the ballot.
Bring it to the ballot.
Now you need to show a photo ID, like a Wisconsin driver license, passport, or Wisconsin state ID card, before casting your ballot in the next election. Find out whether your ID will work at bringit.wisconsin.gov. And don't forget to bring your ID to the ballot.
Hold it! Huh? Before you move a finger, stop, think, connect.
Stop before you click on a link, open an attachment, or reveal personal information online.
Think, do all of my devices have active and up-to-date security settings?
Then connect, knowing you're helping make the web safer for you
And for everyone. Make Stop, Think, Connect part of your daily online routine.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. Now it's the second half of the show. We're going to go ahead and get right into the City Council meeting agenda for Wednesday, November 9th. One more reminder that the City Council meeting is on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday next week. So Mark, first thing that we want to discuss here is the public hearing on the 2017 city budget. Where do we stand?
The council has held 6 workshops. It started back in July and just finished the other day. The budget is looking at about a 1.6% increase. There's no reductions in city staff or services proposed. There is, unfortunately, the increase is a little higher than usual. It's about a 5.8% increase in the levy, and that's primarily because of some aids from the state that have remained frozen over a number of years, as well as some reductions in ambulance revenues, and that's been a cumulative thing that's been going on because of reduced reimbursements for Medicare and Medicaid, which is over half of our ambulance revenues. And over time, we're making an adjustment of nearly $500,000, and we have to backfill that with additional revenues, which is why there's one increase for part of that reason. But the state and federal aids is going down, and that's really hurting us.
So what does that mean? The departments have asked for certain things. Does that mean that those things aren't going to be funded this next year? We typically have what we call budget enhancement packages that departments submit to me. I review and I go over them with council. And the departments did a very good job of identifying some specific needs. But unfortunately, because of our limitations on expenditure restraint, which says we can't increase our budget by more than 1.6%. That's our cap, that's all we can do. So that's all you're going to see, but that meant that some of these things, such as a vice and narcotics unit in the police department, which we believe is very important, we're not going to be able to fund that. And that's unfortunate, but we have to be fiscally responsible. If we don't comply with the expenditure restraint program, even though I talk about what little revenue we get from the state, the revenue we do get in that program amounts to $1.2 million. If we were to lose that amount of money, we would have even more dire circumstances. So it's important for us to maintain our compliance with that program. Okay, and that leads me to my last question is what's next? We're well into the city budget process. What's going to happen next?
After the hearing where the public provides some input, then the council will provide staff with some feedback on things that they would like to consider any changes, and then they'll have a final vote on November 22nd.
Wonderful. Next item that we want to talk about is item number 5, Resolution 16-510, Approve Engineering Services Agreement for Lead Service Line Replacement Program. And we had to talk about this because we have some really cool video too. Actually, never mind. That's for the next
okay.
item. Sorry about that, Mark. But tell us a little bit about this program and what it means for citizens in Oshkosh.
A lot of folks are aware of what happened in Flint, Michigan with the problem with lead service lines, and the state and federal government has created a grant program, and cities our size are getting about $500,000. We want to stretch that as far as we can, so we want some engineering assistance to identify what we can do with that program, and so this will get us started. We're actually going to have a workshop on December 13th where we're going to talk about some of our ideas on how we want to implement that, and this will get us going on those things so we can get that program underway.
Excellent. And now the next item is the one that I was referring to with the cool video. This one is Resolution 16-511, award bid for Public Works to Instituform Technologies for sanitary sewer lining. And that's about $252,000. Tell us about what exactly this is, Mark.
Cool is in the eye of the beholder, Emily. I will tell you that. But we do have some great video. This is video that comes from the inside of about a 6-inch sewer pipe. And what we're looking for is, you've heard me talk about I&I, which is inflow and infiltration. We're looking for not the flow there that normally occurs, but where water is coming from. And as we line these pipes, we take a look and see if there are any leaks there. And what we're going to do with some of these sewer pipes is we're going to put a lining, like a coating on the inside. Think of Flex Seal type of thing for sewers. And the idea is that water's falling in there. That is, there's obviously a leak coming in, and that's clear water coming in. So that's clean water that's coming in from the ground, and that's the type of thing we want to stop. This lining will prevent that water from entering our sewer and then going to the sewer treatment plant and cleaning what's already clean water. So it's a good program, and this is the start of it for our program for next year.
Excellent. Well, very interesting item here on the agenda, and I know we'll hear more detail during the council meeting on the 9th as well. Next item that we want to talk about, Mark, is number 8, Resolution 16-513, and that's approve amendment for design services for South Park area basin retrofit. Tell us about exactly what this project is.
If you watched any of our workshops with council on our capital improvement program from just the other day, we are working to put some stormwater detention facilities in South Park and actually increase the capacity without really increasing the footprint of the water areas there. South Park's a beautiful flagship park for the city, and we're also doing some improvements at South Park at the same time. So you're going to see some of the ponds get redone, clean them out to extend the capacity, and this is about the technical services, making sure that we're getting all the stormwater hydraulic work done correctly. So
kind of a cool item.
It is, and you're going to see a lot of work at South Park next year. There'll be a lot of activity, but it's going to really help improve the overall quality of stormwater management. For those of you who were around in 2008 when we had the major floods, 10th and Ohio was absolutely horrible, and that's the northeast corner of South Park. So this will help relieve some of that flooding that can occur when we have large flows of water.
And people notice a difference when things like that happen. You know, when projects like this take place, it kind of happens seamlessly that you sometimes might not notice it, but definitely those people who experience that flooding will really appreciate it.
Yes, and that's what we're hoping to achieve.
Yes. So Mark, under your announcements and statements, we have a few items that we want to cover here. That being number 15, and that is report of meeting with bid regarding proposal to implement paid on-street parking in Business Improvement District. Now, where did we leave off on this?
We had at a previous meeting, the council had split an issue about taking care of the recommendations from the Walker Parking Consultant Study. The issue, they agreed on a lot of things, signage and things like that to improve parking in the downtown area. The one thing that they couldn't wrap their arms around completely was paid on-street parking. And so the council had asked me to meet with the bid and facilitate a meeting, and I did that just the other day, and fortunately several council members were also there. So I'm hoping to report back to the whole of council, rely on some of the council members that were there to basically try to get a flavor for what the members of the bid board, which said a very strong memo saying we fully support this program. And I know there's disagreement in downtown business community, but the idea is that they recognize that they have a problem with employees from their own businesses parking on Main Street, and because of that, it's taking away parking from the general public, and that's the primary parking. There's several thousand parking spaces in the downtown only a little over 300 are on-street parking. So we're only talking about maybe 15% of all of our city parking. The rest of it's free for visitors and everything. But if you want the prime parking, the idea is that you would pay for that. And there's new technologies that makes it a lot easier than it used to be. You don't have to fumble with change and things like that. But that's a policy decision for the council. The bid is made their pitch, and the council is going to discuss those items before they vote on the bid's budget on November 22nd.
And this is all kind of a result of the Walker parking study that took place, and so it's all kind of aligning up with that, and we look forward to hearing more about that at the next meeting.
Exactly.
So, Mark, next item, which is actually under the announcements and statements, is number 17, and that is professional service agreement with AECom for environmental consulting for the Southwest Industrial Park Railroad Spur. Now, Mark, we used to talk about this almost every episode on CMR, the Allerton Drive Railroad issue. Tell us what the latest of this project is.
We're getting closer every day, and the folks on Allerton Drive have been very patient, but the idea is that we're trying to get a state grant, and part of that state grant requires us to do some environmental evaluation because some of the areas that we're impacting. And we're actually moving this around from where we were originally, so we've got to do a little more environmental review. The idea here is to put in what's called a transloading facility, and it'll also help move that railroad spur from right behind the folks on Allerton Drive into the Southwest Industrial Park. All we have to do is a little environmental review, make sure we don't have any wetlands or anything of a sensitive environmental nature, and then hopefully we'll qualify for a grant that could fund up to half of this cost of the program. So we're very excited. A transload facility is going to be a great addition to the industrial park. It'll be able to attract transit, it'll be able to attract commerce from all of Northeast Wisconsin because there's no facility like this in this part of the state. So we're excited about it and looking forward to the results.
Such a cool project. And then, Mark, the very last item that we have to talk about today on the show is number 19, and that's professional services agreement for construction management services for the convention center renovations, and that's to the Bolt Company. Tell us about what those renovations are going to be and how that's going to work.
We've identified needs that for the convention center for the next 15 years, and some of them we need to get moving on fairly soon. The convention center is a busy place, and it's very difficult to coordinate all of the work that needs to get done when you're redoing the carpeting. The carpeting's pretty worn out after 7 years. The painting, the walls that have to get moved around. And so what we're doing is we're hiring a construction management firm that knows how to deal with different crafts and trades, more so than we have the internal expertise. And so they will assist us in managing all those construction contracts and then work with the managers of the convention center, the folks at the Best Western Premier, who have been great to work with, and make sure we coordinate it so they can keep going about the business of operating a convention center and making this a great place for conventions. We want to make it a good experience for them as well as us. And also we believe that with a construction manager, it'll help keep the costs down because we're looking at over the next 5 to 8 years, probably about $1.5 million in improvements at the convention center. This is a minor investment that I think will help improve the overall quality of the final product.
Definitely. We'll kind of keep that project moving along in a timely manner and in the end run save you a lot of money. So
that's the idea.
Wonderful. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of City Manager's Report. Mark, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us today.
Always a pleasure.
Again, the City Council meeting is this Wednesday, November 9th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website at oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Make sure you like Oshkosh Media on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. And don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, you can send it to us on Twitter at City of Oshkosh, on Facebook at Oshkosh Media, or via email at ci.oshkosh.wi.us. And he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. So as always, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us for CMR, and we'll see you next time.